Hello and welcome to ThePrint. I am Aamaan, and in our great speeches series today, we look at an address delivered by Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru during his official visit to the Soviet Union in June 1955. We revisit this speech today in the context of the recent visit to India by Russian President Putin. Nehru began his 1955 speech by recalling the scale of the journey he and his delegation had undertaken across the Soviet Union and the welcome they had received everywhere. He said, 2 weeks ago, we came to the Soviet Union. We have traveled some 13,000 kilometers, but most wonderful of all has been the welcome that we received. We are infinitely grateful for this affection. End quote. He noted that the visit was not made as strangers, because many in India had followed developments in Russia since the time of the October Revolution. He said, almost contemporaneously with your October Revolution, we in India started a new phase of a struggle for freedom. Even though we pursued a different path in our struggle under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, we admired Lenin and were influenced by his example. End quote. Nehru emphasized that even when India did not fully understand developments in the Soviet Union, the Indian people had always wished the country well and wanted to learn from its experience where possible. He said, we did not understand some of the developments in your country. We wish the Soviet Union well in the great and novel experiment she was making. The backgrounds of our respective countries were different. End quote. He then spoke about India's own views on freedom and self determination, stressing that domination by one country over another stood in the way of genuine development. He said, we believe that the domination of one country over another was bad. They can grow only if they develop their own strength and self reliance. We have all to learn from others, but this learning cannot be fruitful if it is an imposition. End quote. Nehru outlined India's commitment to democracy, equality, and a peaceful socialistic pattern of development. He described the need for equal access to opportunity and knowledge. He said, we believe in democracy and in equality. Whatever shape that pattern or democracy might take, it must lead to open access to knowledge and equal opportunity to all. End quote. He then referred to the recently articulated 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, the Panchsheel, agreed between India and China in 1954 and supported later by several countries, including the Soviet Union. He said these principles were respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty, non aggression, nor interference in each other's internal affairs, equality and mutual benefit, and peaceful coexistence. End quote. Nehru asserted that he did doubt that these principles, if accepted by all countries, would end the fears and apprehensions that cast dark shadows over the world. Moving to global changes, he spoke about the rapid advances in science and technology. Nehru said, the progress of science has changed the world we live in. Even conceptions of time and space have changed. This power can be used for the good of all if wisdom governs our actions. End quote. But he cautioned that without peace, these scientific gains could become dangerous. He said, if the world is mad or foolish, it can destroy itself just when great advance and triumphs are almost within its grasp. End quote. Nehru argued that peace required active effort, not only avoiding war, but working to build relationships. He said, peace in our view is not merely abstention from war, but an active and positive approach to international relations leading first to the lessening of the present tension and then to a growing cooperation between nations in various ways. Cultural and scientific contacts, increase in trade and commerce, and exchange of ideas, experience, and information. End quote. He said he had seen a strong desire for peace among people in the Soviet Union and believed the same was true everywhere. The obstacle, he said, was fear. He said, wherever I have gone, I have found a passion for peace, but fear of others often clouds their minds. We must shed this fear and hatred and try to cultivate the climate of peace. End quote. Nehru then described India's own commitment to peaceful methods, both in its independence movement and its foreign policy. He said, in India, we have been devoted to the cause of peace. For our own progress, peace is essential. We will therefore strive for peace to the utmost of our ability. End quote. He welcomed steps taken recently by the Soviet Union that, in his view, had helped ease global tensions. He said, I congratulate the government of the Soviet Union on the steps it has taken. I trust that the recent proposals of the Soviet Union with regard to disarmament will lead to progress. Disarmament is essential if fear is to be removed and peace assured. End quote. He also spoke about the United Nations. which was marking the 10th anniversary of its founding, and said that it could not function effectively if key nations were excluded. He said, "The UN cannot represent all peoples of the world if some nations are kept out. We have felt that the non recognition of the People's Republic of China is a danger to the promotion of peace." End quote. Nehru argued that China's participation was necessary for resolving major questions, particularly in Asia. He said, "One of the most vital problems today is that of the Far East, and this cannot be settled without the goodwill and cooperation of the People's Republic of China." End quote. Nehru ended his address by expressing appreciation for what he had seen in the Soviet Union during his travels, not only its industrial progress, but also its cultural life and the attention given to the younger generation. He said, "I have been deeply impressed by the great achievements of the Soviet Union, most of all by the great care taken of children and the younger generation. I thank you for your friendliness and generous hospitality." End quote. He closed by expressing India's hope for cooperation between the two countries. He said, "The people of India wish you well and look forward to cooperation for the good of our respective countries as well as for the larger cause of humanity." Nehru's 1955 address in the Soviet Union captures the origins of India's non alignment before it hardened into doctrine. It shows how India balanced relations with competing superpowers and offers a blueprint for peaceful coexistence amid rising geopolitical tension. Moreover, the speech reveals the emotional roots of Indo Soviet friendship, which still shape India Russia ties. Thank you for joining us on Great Speeches. For more from The Print, become a subscriber at theprint.in/subscribe. I am Aman India.